Hi, I'm George Kao, and welcome to this webinar. So in this video webinar, I'm going to give you my summary and favorite insights and tools and practices from the book that's called Content Inc. Content Inc. was written by Joe Pulizzi. If you don't know who he is, this guy, Joe Pulizzi, is the one who has popularized the term content marketing in recent years. To many people, he is sort of like the leading authority on using content to grow businesses right now. And so this is his most recent book. Great book. It's not a perfect book, but it's a very good book. I'm glad I read it, and I'm going to share with you my favorite insights. Now, one of the important things about the book is that it was really written for. I mean, it was written for several audiences, which it kind of makes things confusing sometimes. But a lot of his ideal clients are actually, bigger companies that have teams to do content marketing. So I felt like a lot of the book wasn't really relevant for me or for my clients, and probably for a lot of you who are watching, because I tend to attract people who are more similar to my clients. So I'm going to translate the book and the strategies so that it's more applicable to the solopreneur. And I'm not going to assume that you have a whole team and staff to handle your social media and your blog publishing and all that stuff, right? So I'm going to assume that you don't have the resources to publish a well-polished daily newsletter to your fans, things like that. So, and the other thing, of course, I want to mention is that if you followed any of my content, you know that one of the things that sets me apart from other marketing teachers is that I value honesty in marketing, even humility in marketing. And just, I mean, I take my spiritual values and I put them as a priority in my business activities and my marketing activities. So I don't use lizard brain marketing like just about every other marketer I know does, to manipulate. They use psychological persuasion tactics to manipulate people into buying. I understand that, and I know that people need money and they do those things because they need money, but I really do my best to not do those things, even though it makes me less money. I make enough, gratefully. But that's what I'm going to filter my presentation through that lens as well. I do believe if you are honest, if you are transparent, if you truly care for people rather than seeing them as targets to manipulate and to control and get them to pay and all that stuff, you can build a thriving and sustainable, at least enough money for you. my hero Gandhi right here, he always says, one of the quotes is, "The earth has enough for every man's need, but not for every man's greed." And that's actually one of the problems I have with the whole marketing world, but even the content marketing world. And I should give a clarification. The content marketing world is actually typically seen as more benevolent than the typical marketing world. I don't know if you knew that, but typical marketing and sales is like, use persuasion tactics to convince and convert and to do whatever you can to get people to buy, profit. No matter if it's truly what they need, they just get them to buy. The content marketing world is actually different. The content marketing world says, no, we want to build an audience by giving generously our free content. And of course, we sell some content, but 90% of it should be free and even ungated without opting in. So that's from the content marketing world. The content marketing world is already more benevolent than the typical internet marketing world of sales funnels. And not sales funnels aren't bad completely, but a lot of the people who teach them are very manipulative. But anyway, content marketing world is a benevolent version of the internet marketing world, and yet I still think that the content marketing world is not applying the spiritual values I think that you and I both hold dear, which is the earth has enough for every man's need, but not for every man's greed. And I would say the content marketing world, the world of social media and the internet, can produce enough livelihood for every person's need, but not for every person's greed. So for example, I no longer try to get the biggest audience I possibly can. I'm very happy that there are a few of you watching and commenting here live, and a few more of you watching the replay. But I realize that when you're watching me, your attention is on me. I'm taking your attentional resources away from whatever else you can be doing, and from other marketing providers or other marketing coaches that could be supporting their livelihood and their content. And so it's ironic because I believe in abundance on the one hand, but I think most people misapply abundance in that they think, oh, money is, there's more than enough money for everyone. Actually, technically, yes, in the longest term possible, but in the short term or in the reality of things, a dollar spent one place is not a dollar spent another place. And so people like Brendan Burchard and Lisa Sasevich and, Marie Forleo and Tony Robbins, I mean, they're great for some things, but they're taking a lot of attention away from smaller providers like me, right? Because it's like, if you're paying attention to them, you're spending money on them, you're not spending money on me or someone else who could use the livelihood. And so I that's my one complaint about the content marketing world, is it's not realistic in terms of what our dear friend Gandhi says, is the attentional resources of the world have enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. So my goal here, and my goal is different from this book's goal, is not to get you infinite amounts of audience members and like everyone can be famous. No, everyone can't be famous, because everyone's attentional. If you're on someone's webinar, if you're reading someone's book, you're not reading someone else's book or attending someone else's webinar, right? So really interesting. I hope for you. So let's go into the book. There's a lot to cover here. One of the quotes from the book: content is what people want. Marketing and advertising are what people easily avoid. And that's sort of, again, the difference between the internet marketing world, the advertising world, and the content marketing world. Is the content marketing world says we're trying to bring generosity to people. And if we bring generosity to people, they will decide eventually to buy from us, right? And another interesting statistic here is 70% of consumers prefer getting to know a business via articles rather than advertisements. 70% of consumers prefer getting to know a business via articles rather than advertisements. So again, another reason for the content marketing world. So the basic model of this book and the content marketing framework is to build out, and sometimes you'll notice I'm looking at my notes because I didn't memorize the book. So that's what I'm doing here. And afterwards, I will share my notes with you. It's 21 pages of notes, and I don't want to distract you right now, but underneath the video, after I do this live recording, I will put the link to the notes, okay? So building out, the model is to build out an ideal audience who follow what's called your content sweet spot. And I'll talk about how to discover that, what that is. Now, the problem, I guess one challenge with the book, right? The content marketing world, and I guess you could say that's one challenge with generosity. If you make a decision to be generous, you can't, and I'm going to tell it to you straight, you can't make money as fast as someone who makes a priority in conversion and persuasion. It's the reality of things. Like, again, I mean, hopefully it's not a shocker. There are plenty of ways to make money fast, okay? You can do it too, but you will be going against your conscience, right? And so the content marketing world says, build your audience first, sell to them later. Whereas the internet marketing world says, build stuff to sell, and then eventually build an audience so that your sales become easier. So it's sort of two different models. The content marketing model, though, could take months or even years to build an ideal audience before you understand them, before you have enough people and you understand them well enough to know what truly is optimal to sell to them. Now, what's interesting is that the book itself contradicts itself later on in the book, which that's one of my complaints about the book, is it first says, don't sell, just build on an audience first and then monetize later. But then the the book later says, wait, but you do need to make money in the meantime. Instead of getting a job, try different ways of monetizing your audience from the very beginning. And so that's a question I would ask the author. And so, one Ken says, why not create a hybrid model? Yeah. So I guess the book eventually comes around kind of to a hybrid model to say, listen, do both in parallel, build out an audience, but at the same time, keep testing. That's the key. Keep experimenting with different products, online courses, different ways to monetize, until you get there. But again, the content marketing model still says, even though it's a hybrid, we can use a hybrid. They still say, focus at least 50% of your results, or 50% of your energy on building out the audience, sharing content generously. Okay, so the first step, is the sweet spot. How do you find your content sweet spot? The area of focus where you could be the best or one of the best in the world in teaching, in advising, in writing about. Okay, that's the content sweet spot. And the book has a confusing definition. It says your content sweet spot, your expertise or skill set, plus your passion, something you're really fixated on personally, or something that you're really passionate about societally. Expertise plus skill set. But later on, as I read more of the examples, I'm going to give a updated definition of what sweet spot is, which is knowledge, that some kind of knowledge that has clear value in society, meaning people are spending money on that type of knowledge, or there's a passionate following. So you're not sure people are spending money. Well, no, I would say this. I would say it's the first part of the formula is knowledge where people are spending money on it. So they're either spending money going to conferences on this topic, or spending money buying lots of books on it, or spending money on merchandise. So even if it's a passionate following, like you follow some type of toy, right? People are spending money on, or some kind of character in a movie, right? People are spending money on books about that character or toys about that character, whatever. So it's some kind of knowledge where people are spending money. Plus, the second part of the formula for sweet spot is some kind of communications skill set. Communication skill set. So valuable knowledge plus communication skill set is sweet spot. And I'm going to define it further to make it even more specific. But a couple examples from the book. There's a guy called the Chicken Whisperer. He got passionate about raising chickens in the backyard, and he started teaching his friends about it. Then he created a local meetup using meetup.com. That website, meetup.com, has dozens of local meetups in your area. He created a local meetup to answer questions about raising chickens in the backyard. And so he combined his passion, his knowledge area, valuable knowledge area of backyard chicken raising with his communication skill of teaching. He was a really good teacher. So kind of combining those two into his content sweet spot. And so his local meetup got bigger and bigger and bigger. It got picked up by the local news, and then people started requesting more from all over the country. And then he created a print magazine, which has now tens of thousands of subscribers. He wrote a book. He has a popular radio show now. So like this whole thing from raising chickens in the backyard. Another example is Chili Claus, this guy who's passionate about hot chili peppers. And you may say, well, is that a valuable knowledge? Well, actually, yes. I mean, people spend money on hot chili peppers all the time, right? So valuable knowledge, hot chili peppers, plus he had a communications passion for performance art. He was a conductor. Okay, so that was his way of communicating or entertaining, you might say. And so he combined. There's an interesting video you can find on YouTube. You just go to YouTube and search Hot Chili Peppers Orchestra or something like that. But it's basically he was conducting an orchestra, like a Denmark professional orchestra, where everybody in the orchestra was eating hot chili peppers while they were playing this song. So you listen to them playing, and they were as they were playing this music, amazing music. It's pretty hilarious. But see, that content sweet spot is pretty unique, right? Another example, Lauren Luke has a passion for the valuable knowledge is applying makeup. makeup, right? Cosmetics. Plus she enjoyed talking on video. So she combined those two, and she has, okay, as an example, Estee Lauder, the popular cosmetics brand, has 25,000 subscribers on YouTube. Lauren Luke has 500,000. So it's like 20 times what Estee Lauder has. Okay, so just a couple of examples. Oh, one more example. There's a company that sells pools and spas. They install these things. And they decided, you know, during the downturn, they barely could stay alive, that business. So they decided to take their valuable knowledge, which is people were interested in information about spas and pools, and their communication skill set was writing blog posts. So the owner said, you know what, why don't we take all the questions, let's brainstorm all the questions that, you know, are that any prospective customer or customer could have about pools and spas, like any question, and let's answer each question as a separate blog post. And so I think they wrote over 100 blog posts, or eventually now they have, I think they have hundreds. And so, you know, by doing that, what happened was that they started to become the first page on Google for all kinds of questions about pools and spas. And their business blossomed as a result. And so, again, interesting hybrid model is that they were already selling something, but then they were very generously giving away knowledge about their area of expertise. Okay, so let's talk about applying this, okay? First, you begin by brainstorming knowledge areas or skill sets that you have much more knowledge compared to the average person. And just brainstorm a bunch, because then you can evaluate later, oh, is this something people are spending money on, you know, versus not. And then the second question is, what do you enjoy doing in terms of communications? I've given you some examples there. Do you like to write? Do you like to do videos? Do you like to, maybe you don't like to be on video, but you like to talk, so that would be called a radio or podcast. Do you like being with people in person, so facilitating in-person meetings? Or maybe you like speaking at in-person meetings. Do you have a passion to create a magazine? Do you have a passion to create some kind of cool event? So some way of gathering people and communicating something, that's his communication skill set. So, and then third question is, what audience do you want to specifically speak to? Okay, and really, I invite you, as you watch this, to start taking some notes as I'm saying this. You know, what's coming to mind for you. So again, first step is brainstorm that more than valuable knowledge skill or knowledge area or skill set. Second is, what is your communication skill set? You might have to test out different ones to find out what you enjoy. And then third one is, what audience will you specifically speak to? What are the pain points? Okay, what are the pain points and informational needs of that audience that you could create content to address? What will make them pay attention and want to consume your information versus other people's information? You need to be clear enough about the audience to visualize him or her. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect clarity, but it needs to be someone where if you describe them to me, I could say, oh, I know someone like that. Oh, I know someone who probably knows someone like that. So you need to have some kind of, be able to describe that person to someone, okay? So, okay, a great quote from the book. It was actually interviewing someone else, not the author, but this guy, Jay Baer, was being interviewed. And he said, 10 years ago, you couldn't ever say, publish your own newspaper, right? How's that gonna work? But today you can just say, hey, I'm gonna make a YouTube video every day about Japanese whiskey. And if you keep your nose to the grindstone, eventually you can be the Japanese whiskey guy, and you could take advertisements, you can give speeches, and all those things can happen. So really, the content marketing model says, if you're willing to put in the work, you can succeed with a big enough audience and monetize that audience in some way. Again, it doesn't have to be you selling coaching or selling consulting. It could be you taking advertisements from bigger companies who want to reach your audience, which happens a lot, sponsorships, all that kind of thing, right? So now, the important thing about content marketing is that focus is important, because the old idea of marketing is really thought about as local, right? Like, locally, if you're trying to reach people locally, you want to try to be many things to many people because there's only a limited number of people locally. But when you're using content marketing and you're doing things online, the irony is it's not being many things to many people. You need to be as specific as you can to a specific type of person, because when you're online, suddenly, whereas locally you might only have 10 people who fit a very specific profile, online you have 10 million people who fit that very specific profile. And they're searching very specific words to find solutions to their problems. And if you're being really broad in general on your website and in your content, Google and other search engines and other people who remember you are going to be confused. Oh yeah, what does she do again? She does all kinds of stuff, so I don't really remember. But if she's really focused, like, oh yeah, she does this for this type of person, that's much more memorable. So again, when it comes to content marketing online, focus actually gets you more attention than being broad. So really important, specific problem for specific type of person. Okay, the second part of the model, now that you've thought about the sweet spot, is now you need to create a content tilt. A content tilt, by definition in this book, is the way that you kind of frame your sweet spot in a way that's pretty unique in the world, so that you can, again, be more focused and be more unique to say, you are like the best in the world for this. Okay, so the content tilt, let me give you a further formula. So we talked about your above average skill or above average knowledge area, meaning you're smarter than most people in this particular area, or that you've more experienced, okay? Plus, now I'm going to add to the formula now, plus your communications skill. We talked about that already, your communication skill set. Plus your style or values or passion, your style, which is actually already existent, but I wanted to make you aware of that. Be yourself. Because your own self, your own way of talking, like on webinars, I tend to talk with a lot of energy, whereas my colleague, Tad Hargrave, he has a different style for people who like it. He's much more, calm, and, kind of his voice is like this. And some people really need that. Some people really like that. Whereas if you like a higher energy, you tend to like my webinars better. So your style, values, or passion, my values, of course, as you know, are very important to me and make me unique. Plus, some kind of unique strength or characteristic compared to your niche mates. Some kind of unique strength or characteristic compared to your niche mates. Now, that might be similar to the styles, value, or passion, but I wanted to highlight that. So for me, my unique strength has changed over the years compared to my niche mates. When I first started, my unique strength was that my unique strength was that I made social media simple. That was how I began. Like, that's how people, you want to learn social media? You want to have it simplified? Talk to George, because he's really good at making it simple. But over the years, now my unique strength compared to niche mates is that my values, it's like, oh, wow, like you can hardly find anybody else willing to bring kind of spiritual values into marketing. And lots of people say heart-centered and conscious and authentic, but they're not really. Talk to George, because he's actually applying like Gandhian values to marketing and business, which is really radical. So you have to find, and then the final part of the formula is your audience. Your audience will make it unique. So, for example, I'm getting clearer and clearer on this myself over the years. I used to be, hey, I talk to any small business person about social media, right, and about marketing. And that's way too broad of an audience. So I got more focused. Now I have in my mind a type of therapist or coach who has clients and wants to expand their platform in an ethical and way, and in a way that's more energy efficient. So not working, doing such busy work, right? So it's sort of, you got to get clearer and clearer on your audience. And by the way, it's not that you can't serve people outside that audience, because I know a lot of you watching this aren't just what I described. But if you have a particular audience, your content will be more focused. They will be able to find you better. And what's interesting is that people outside the audience, some of them will actually find your content more resonating, because now it's like this. If you've ever been in a room with a really good speaker, a good lecturer speaker, what you'll find is that the speaker will look at one person and talk to that one person for like 5 to 10 seconds, like really intently, like speaking to that one person. And then the speaker will look at another person in the room really intently and just talking with them, really resonating with them. And then, if you're lucky, they might look at you. But even if they don't look at you, when that speaker is looking at one person, the whole audience is resonating because that speaker is truly resonating with someone, not kind of eyes glazed over, talking to the whole public. Does that make sense? Same thing with your content marketing. Okay, let's get going. I'm going to keep going here. Make your content, the aim is to make your content indispensable. Make your content indispensable. In other words, your content is the best what? It's the best research in your industry on your topic. Is it the best how-to teaching? Is it the best entertainment value? Is it the best what? Okay. And also, who is not getting the information they need to make the improvements that you think people should be making in their lives? Who is not getting it? What kind of information are they not getting? You fill that hole. You can fill that hole and become the indispensable content source in your industry for your specific niche. Does that make sense? Does that excite you? I hope so. Okay. I'm gonna skip a few things because I want to focus the webinar on some things that need more explaining. But again, I have a lot more notes for you later on when you read my document here. So okay, so one of the things that confuses people, which I may unfortunately have led to some of that confusion, is, well, should I create content that everyone is searching on? So using keyword planner and kind of Google search tools and key search engine tools to only create content that's being searched enough? Well, this book helped me clarify some things about that. And this book gave some great examples where if you are really passionate about a particular phrase, really passionate about something, and you can envision yourself being the champion of that phrase, maybe you have a phrase to describe your focus that you really resonate with, and that when you talk to people, they resonate with it like when you talk to the right people, to your ideal audience, they resonate with it pretty quickly. Okay, if you get a yes on both fronts, and a third yes, which is, I want to champion this phrase for the next 10 years. Okay, I want to champion this phrase for the next 10 years. Then I don't care if there's not any Google searches on that phrase. You can be the one to start the trend. So a couple examples. The phrase spiritual marketing. Nobody was searching that until I think about 10 years ago. Joe Vitale, which I have to say I really disagree with much of his marketing because he uses the term spiritual and things like that, but it's very manipulative in my opinion. Joe Vitale wrote a book called Spiritual Marketing. And if you look at Google Trends for that phrase, it's like nobody searching, and suddenly, bip, like he wrote the book and he created the trend, and it was like pretty even for a while, and now it went down because the book became passé and nobody started use that term again. I might start picking that term, but it's like, and then another example, inbound marketing. I'm using examples from my industry because I know my industry better. Inbound marketing. Nobody was searching that term. It's a brand new term until HubSpot started using it several years ago, and boop, it put it on the map, and that term is now going up because they popularized that term. Same thing, content marketing. Nobody knew what that was even 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And then Joe Pulizzi popularized it. Now it's very popular. And so again, you can start a trend. Okay, you can start a trend. Okay. All right. So here's a important piece of advice. It's that you will find your content tilt over time. You don't have to spend the next 6 to 12 months trying to figure it out by doing journaling. And I always say that too many of us do too much navel gazing, just like journaling all day long, trying to figure out what our perfect niche is, journaling for months and years. The best advice I have for you for finding your calling is to go out there and help people. If you want to find your calling, what you're meant to do on this earth and what you're meant to be known for, go out and help as many people as you can. Talk to as many people, like real people. Don't just, journal, okay? And talk to your angels, which I believe in, but you got to talk to real people. The universe is talking to you about your calling through other people, not only through your own insights, but through other people. There's a reason why other people exist, in your life. It's because they are taught. Their mouthpieces are mouthpieces for God, okay, collectively. So you got to help a lot of people, talk to a lot of people, and keep changing until you get clearer and clearer. It's more like a spiral. You get clearer and clearer. You keep coming back around, but you get clearer and clearer, more and more powerful, reaching more people, okay? Your content tilt isn't a one-time project. Your sweet spot is not a one-time project. It's an ongoing discovery, okay? All right, so, all right, let's go down to building the base. All right, so this is the next part of the model. We talked about sweet spot, we talked about content tilt, now we talk about building the base. And building the base is the idea is you start with one platform that you say, this is my headquarters, this is my central content headquarters. Now, you may need to experiment with different things until you decide what that one platform is. So for example, and by the way, your one platform may change over the years. Like my one platform in the beginning of my business was webinars. That was what I was known for. I was teaching 2 to 4 webinars for different audiences every month. And people knew me for that. But now my platform in the past 2 years has changed to short videos. That's what people are know me for. Oh yeah, George does those short videos about marketing, right? So, but some other people, like for example, Zen Habits, one of my business heroes is Leo Babauta. His platform is his blog. That's his one platform. Another example, TED Talks. What's their platform? Their one base platform used to be in-person events, the TED events, and everything came out of that. And now their one major platform is the TED videos, the TED Talks, right? So different platforms. Another one, a colleague of mine, Infinite Earth Radio. Okay, their one platform, their main platform is their podcast, and they want to build summits around that. They want to write books around that. So what is your one platform? Like make that. There is power in focus. Even though you might do different things going forward, there's power in saying, this is my one place that people can find my newest and best free information. What is that one place? Focus on that, okay? And according to the content marketing survey by this institute, 2015 content marketing survey, the most popular content types, I'll just kind of list them through quickly because again, they're my notes. Articles or blog posts are number 1. That's most popular in terms of like the top platform. Second one is email newsletters. Third is videos. Fourth is in-person events. Fifth is reports or white papers. Sixth is webinars. Seventh is books, print or digital. 8 is printed magazines. 9 is audio programming. 10 is printed newsletters. So again, just kind of give you some ideas for what I mean by one platform, okay? And I'm going to add a couple that weren't in the book in terms of base platforms, infographics. Some people get known for creating these great graphics that describe information, right? Okay, so how do you know which one to make your main platform? Answer these questions. Where you test out a bunch of them, right? But as you test things out, you ask yourself, where does my audience hang out? And you might even want to ask your ideal clients, where do you consume information? Do you prefer to read email newsletters? Do you prefer to look at Facebook? Do you prefer to watch webinars? Do you prefer to listen to podcasts? What do you prefer? Give them choices and then have them vote, right? And then second important question is, what do you enjoy doing? What do you enjoy doing? Okay. What do you enjoy doing? Third good question is, what are you getting good feedback on? What are you getting good feedback on? Fourth question is, what can you commit to doing consistently for at least 1 year? Because it's typically takes at least that long, 1 to 3 years actually, to build a content marketing platform. So for example, for me, I committed to doing regular videos for at least 1 year. So there you go. What can you do regularly enough that builds a community? Okay, so for example, monthly is kind of stretching it. I mean, yeah, a monthly event could be a community built around it, but that would be like an in-person thing. But like a monthly newsletter, that's not a base platform. Okay, that's I have a monthly newsletter, but that's like a side thing for me. My main platform, like a daily thing, is I do now 2 videos a week, which is enough to build some kind of momentum and a community around. And finally, what can you imagine being the best in? I mean, you might not be great at it right now, but you're so passionate about that communications channel, that skill set, that you want to become one of the best in it, in your industry. Okay, so there's ways to come up with content, lots of different ways that I'll let you read in the notes. But one thing I want to do is talk about an editorial calendar, and then we'll end the webinar talking about monetizing the audience, etc. So for the editorial calendar, I've actually created a tool that I want to share with you. And so the tool, I'm going to actually share my screen. Hopefully you'll be able to see it just fine. Okay, there's the screen here. So you're going to see my screen in just a moment. Okay, so this tool, I will teach you a bit how to use it. And by the way, I'm going to, yeah, I don't have a lot of time in this webinar, so I'll just kind of go through the basics of it. If you want more in depth, I'm going to be teaching an entire content marketing course. It'll be a 6-hour course that I'm going to be teaching, actually starting in a couple of weeks, and I'll be going over this tool in even more detail. So when you come to this tool, basically what you do is you click on Use this template. And by the way, this tool requires that you're logged into your Google Drive account. Google Drive is free. I use it every day for all kinds of things. So be sure to use Google Drive first, and then you come into you click on the tool. When I give you my notes, you basically click on the link in the notes, and then you click on this link, which will bring you over here to this tool, and you click on Use this template. And let's walk through it briefly. When you click on Use this template, what's going to happen is it's going to make a copy for you. That's going to be a private copy just for you. And you can do anything you want, delete things, erase things, change things, okay? So in this tool, there are 3 tabs. There's content tracking, there's keywords, and then there's annual overview, okay? So content tracking, I'll kind of walk through it first. This is where you put the topic or headline. And by the way, I'm not doing text wrapping. If you want text wrapping, you just click at the top, click at the column top, and click on this text wrapping thing and make a text wrap. Okay, if you want to do that, do you want to see everything? But if you don't text wrap, that's fine. It'll basically just have to click on it, and then, well, actually, no, I think text wrapping is a good idea in this case. Okay, current status, and basically, if you want more details, you can move your mouse over the cell and see what I mean by these things. Okay, and the cool thing I've done is I've created a formula that's automatic, and then it'll give you colors so that over time you'll be able to see what is getting the most, what you're getting the most engagement from. So the darker colors is more engagement than the lighter colors. So that's automated already. So what you need to do to get this automated formula is to put in your total audience and likes after 1 week each time. So, but what is total audience? This could be wherever your main platform is. So right now, my main platform really is my Facebook fan page. That's my main platform right now. People know that that's where they get the newest, my newest content about business and marketing. And so every time I create a new video, I will write down how many fans I have that day. So I'll just give you another example. Let's say it was 32, 25, or whatever. And then after now, let's say I made a video, blah, blah, blah. And then after 1 week, let's say I got, 10 likes. So that the formula will show up right away. So that it'll automatically color based on the averages So anyway, I'm kind of proud about this formula, as you can see. All right, so initial post is when you made that post. Repost, oh, by the way, these are automatic too, so I'll show you where to put that later. Keywords is really important. I have a whole tab about keywords that gives you a lot of instructions, okay, instructions and resources. You can just move your mouse over these cells, and then there's instructions and resources. Remember that there's some cells have more, you can scroll down, okay? So keywords are really important. Again, I don't have time to cover that in this webinar. I've taught a whole course that included a lot of keyword type of instructions. So that's my Optimize Your Offerings course. If you're interested, you let me know. I can show you where to get the course for free or to buy it if you want to. Call to action. Basically, one of the key learnings of this book is that for every content piece, have some action that you're asking audiences to take. It doesn't have to be, hey, buy my thing every time. But it can be, hey, if you're interested in subscribing, this is like my key action in each one of my content pieces. As you can tell, if you go to okay, I'll just click on one of my content pieces. You can see what I mean by that. Is my key action at the end of each piece is I always have, I guess I have two actions here. To comment on Facebook, click here. But usually I just have this: to receive George Cao's best articles, go to. Okay, so basically, when they go there, they have the option to subscribe to a monthly or weekly newsletter that gets them my best articles on a weekly or monthly basis. So you could download another type of resource you've created. That could be the call to action. It could be to buy something, to explore your services, to add a testimonial for you. Get creative on what you're asking them to do next. That is a win-win. It's a win for them. It's a win for you. So what is that? Okay. Date created. This is okay. So this is basically like what kind of content piece this is. Is this a text piece primarily, or is it a video piece? I know I have text for all my videos too, but they're primarily videos. So I kind of put the date when I created them in here under the video section. If you wrote a blog post, you would put the date of the blog post under the text. Is it an image instead? What's the primary thing that it is? Okay, and then here is the course lesson number. So my primary kind of like where I put my very, very best information is in my courses now. And I have 4 courses: Joyful Productivity, Optimizing Your Offerings, Consistent Content, and Authentic Enrollment, right? So I'm going to start putting I'm going to put this into lesson 5.1 in this course or whatever. And I've made an automatic color coding. So, if I put this in lesson 1.3 or whatever, then it'll just automatically. So I can kind of see a color-coded, oh, I'm way heavily on the Joyful Productivity side. I should create more content on this or this or this. So this is kind of giving me some sense here. And you can change this. And I mean, if you instead of creating courses, if you want to write books, if you want to write a new book every half year, right? You could put your book titles here and then say, oh, I'm gonna put this idea into this book or that book, etc. But have some kind of premium place where you might say you have 2 main platforms. The one main platform you have is kind of your more daily or weekly, where you share your daily or weekly content. And then your second main platform is where you do something less regularly, but it's more substantial. For me, it's teaching courses. For you, it might be writing a book or coming up with a keynote talk or whatever it is. So this is what you put here. Okay, here, initial posting dates. So this is what you put. This is where you put the date for when you put that piece of content where. So can you believe I'm just starting my blog this year, 7 years into being a full-time marketing coach. I'm just starting my blog this year. So that's why I don't have anything in the blog section yet, but I'm going to start rewriting things and adding them to my blog. So for example, once I rewrite this one and add to my blog, let's say it was March 1st, then I would put March 1st here, okay? And then if I decide to actually, that's not initial posting. Sorry, the initial posting was before I rewrote it. When I first wrote it, the very first time, or when I first recorded it, where did I put it? And put the dates there. So when I first did it, I put it on my Facebook fan page, and then I also put it on LinkedIn as a status update. I put it in my monthly newsletter. I put it on some other channels. And then here's the repost date. So let's say I were to rewrite this idea, and then to repost it, I would put it in on my blog. Then I would just basically put, and basically this is kind of like I don't know, I have automated formulas here. So if you put a date, it'll turn color to kind of give you some sense of how much anyway, some kind of visual indicator. So here's where you repost things to your blog, like you've rewritten something, you put it on your blog. If you've rewritten something, you want to put it on some resource page on your website, you put the date there for that. So by the way, if I put 3/1 here, for example, go back earlier, the automated things, this will automatically put 3/1 as a result. So these are formulas. Just don't mess with any of these cells. These cells will automatically show up if you put the right information in here in this section of initial posting and also repost dates. Let's go on to keywords. You know, I'm not, well, basically, keywords are where, the question is this: what questions are your ideal audience maybe searching on Google and YouTube and other search engines that you want to be found for? What questions are they asking themselves that you want to be found for? Or what questions are they asking other people or their experts that you want to be found for? That's the best definition of keyword, in my opinion. A keyword is not just one word. It could be a word, a phrase, or an entire sentence or question. Okay, that's the technical term is keyword, but it's not typically just one word. And then Google monthly searches, you find that from Google AdWords Planner, Keyword Planner. Okay, that's the number there. Date of the most recent ranking, date of previous ranking. This is basically, actually, I think it is best if you, I'm going to put this, I'll do that later for my template too. What is your most recent ranking? You just Google that keyword and see where, if you show up, maybe it's result number 35 or whatever, then put 35 there. Previous ranking. So if you don't have anything, but next time you update the ranking, you realize, oh, now I'm 25. The previous one was 35. Okay. Cumulative increase or decrease over time. The cumulative increase here was 10. But you'll see the instructions here. Okay, when you hover over the cell. Google. Okay. Whoops. That really should be over here. Google monthly searches. Date of the most recent ranking. Okay, I did the previous one. I tested on 221, and now I tested at 3/1 and already changed. Probably doesn't change that fast, but just kind of give you a sense. Which URL actually ranked? Which one was number 25? Okay, you put that URL there. Okay, and then annual overview is basically where, if you want to have, you don't have to fill everything out, by the way. Okay, this is totally optional. But if you have a sense of, okay, I'm going to be launching certain things, like, oh, I'm going to be launching my next program in April. Okay, program launch. Then you got to be more aware of, then maybe several weeks in advance, I'm going to start posting content that are related to my program launch. Does that make sense? So that helps you to plan things in advance. Okay, or maybe there are certain holidays that your content makes sense. Maybe if you're a relationship coach, right? And Valentine's Day is important, then Valentine's. You put that in here so that you're like, oh yeah, you got to really do a big content campaign around these weeks or something like that. Maybe you have some other deadline. Maybe there's some conference you're attending that you want to show up and be more noticeable in front of the conference attendees, and so this helps you plan basically what kind of things are happening in your business. All right. So I'm going to stop my screen share. You'll get access to that tool later in the notes. And here we are back here. Okay. So, all right, the next section of the model is what he calls harvesting audience. And the term harvesting makes me cringe. It's like alien invasion and they're harvesting human organs or something like that. But harvesting audience, what he means by that is, he says that content marketing, like the #1 reason you should do content marketing is to get email subscribers. Now that's I disagree with that. I used to teach that. For several years, and I taught that. But now I kind of disagree with this, because I don't believe in, as you heard in the beginning, I don't believe in getting the biggest email list anymore. I used to have 15,000. I was building for several years. I got 15,000 email subscribers, and I recently deleted 13,500 of my email subscribers. And now I have 1,500. I'm trying to stay with that. I deleted the people who hadn't clicked on any of my emails for the last 6 months, and my peers think I'm crazy. But that's what I did. I want to have a small but engaged audience and have just enough money, enough tiny little waiting list perhaps. But I do think email subscribers are important, but I don't think that should be such a priority where you start doing pop-ups. And by the way, just taking a pause here, if the live attendees can tell me, am I showing up? I haven't seen any chats in the past 15 minutes or so. So please do chat ongoingly to let me know that I'm still showing up correctly, and what's interesting to you. I'd appreciate that. Okay, so basically, again, the number one priority, says the author, for all your content is to get email subscribers. But as a result, this means using pop-ups on your website to like, oh, do you want to subscribe? And we've all seen pop-ups on websites, and I don't know about you, but that makes me really annoyed to see pop-ups. It also makes me really suspicious. I don't know. I mean, whenever people are like doing everything they possibly can to get me to subscribe to their email list, they'll do, which I used to teach and I used to do, which is I used to do dozens of webinars a year, and every webinar they were required to subscribe to my email list. They didn't know they were subscribing, and that's one of the tricks of the webinar world is join this free webinar, but what they're really saying is join this free webinar and I'm going to start marketing to you to your email address going forward until you unsubscribe. And most people are not organized enough to unsubscribe, so that's how they build a huge email list. Same thing with virtual summits. Join my virtual summit, but really I'm trying to get you to market to you over time. I don't think that's transparent anymore. I used to do that. I used to teach it. I no longer believe in it. I don't think that's transparent. I don't think that's honest. So what I do is I'm honest with people and I say, hey, all my content, all my free content is available on social media. You don't have to subscribe to anything. Just find me on social media, get all my free content. But if you want the convenience, so this is how I frame it. If you want the convenience of making sure you don't miss my best content, if you want to see what I think is most popular and what I think is most important, you can subscribe to my email newsletter and I will send that via email on a monthly or weekly basis. It's up to you. And if you want to get promotional messages like focus, like I'm going to sell you my services or my products or courses, that's a separate email list. And you have to like thoughtfully join my launch list to get my calls to action to buy stuff, spend money with me. That's a separate email list. So I'm radical in my industry. And I'm hoping more people will do that because I would prefer that myself. And anyway, so that's my modification to the strategy. But based on what this book says, the most valuable subscribers, there's a hierarchy, and he says the most valuable are email subscribers. Second is print subscribers. I don't think any of you are big enough business to start doing print magazines, but print subscribers. Third one is LinkedIn connections. Interesting, he says that. Twitter subscribers 4, iTunes subscribers is 5. 6 is a tie between Medium, Tumblr, Instagram, and Pinterest. 7th is YouTube, and 8 is Facebook fans. Interesting hierarchy. I would actually put Facebook followers on your timeline, on your personal Facebook timeline. I would put that above Twitter subscribers. So that's not, he doesn't have that in there, but I would add that. Okay, so some ideas for email newsletters, if you want to start one, is again, this is, based on people who have more resources than we do. A daily email newsletter based on original blog posts every single day. Okay, so that's, some people have time and energy for that, or a team for that. A daily email newsletter curating the best information in your industry, in your niche. Again, these doesn't have to be daily, it could be weekly. Weekly, I think, is a good rhythm, by the way, for an email newsletter. Monthly is a minimum rhythm for an email newsletter. Weekly is a nice average rhythm. Daily is a little, in my opinion, too much. Okay, I'm going to go on to, I'm going to keep going, and I know this webinar will go a little longer than an hour, so I hope if you need to get going, those of you who are live do, but I'm going to keep going so I can share with you the rest of this information here. The next part of the model, okay, so we've talked about your sweet spot, your content till, you talk about building the base on your main channel, and I remember I clarified that there should be 2 main channels. One is your daily or weekly, and then the other one is your premium, sort of your occasional like online courses or ebooks or something more substantial, kind of two main channels. We talked about harvesting your audience, which is doing what you can to get them to subscribe, so that you can keep in touch with them with more regularity. That's the point of having subscribers, is actually building a community. Because without subscribers, you don't really have a community. So the next part of the model is diversification. Okay, diversification is basically, now that you have your two primary channels, as I've said, now it's time to diversify so that you can meet your ideal audience in different places instead of just on. So I've already diversified, right? So I really started focused on my Facebook fan page, and then now I've diversified so that people can find my content easily on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Medium, on Twitter, on Google Plus, on my newsletter. So I've diversified quite a bit. But here's the key teaching. In the beginning, do not overwhelm yourself with diversification yet. This is why there are these steps in the model. You first build your base. Later, you diversify. If you're trying to do all these different things, no wonder you're feeling overwhelmed. And overwhelm is less focus, and less focus is less power in your business. So build your base with the private. I mean, right now you might be testing different things. That's fine, but quickly focus on what's that one thing, and then focus on that channel. Okay. All right. So diversification, and Twitter. People can also find me on Twitter as well. That's one of my diversifications. So according to this book, and I think there's wisdom here, there are 3 channels that, as a solopreneur, as someone who is building your own personal brand, you don't have a team, but you're a solopreneur, there are 3 main channels you want to eventually diversify into. One is blog. So even if you're doing videos and all these different things, eventually you want blog to be one of your primary channels. And that's what I'm 7 years into it. Okay, I think that's too late. Don't take 7 years to start a blog. But 7 years into it, I'm now starting a blog. So blog is number 1, because that's where you're really found by search engines. Search engines love blogs. They just love regular, changing, dynamic content on websites. That's what I don't have right now on my website, and I kind of regret that. So that's why I'm starting it this year. Blog, number 1. Number 2 is book. A book will truly solidify your credibility in your industry. And I am so, I guess you could say perfectionistic or caring about my content, that I don't feel ready to write a book yet, even though I've had over 1,000 clients, and I'm going to be publishing my book probably in 1 to 2 years is my goal. But right now I'm doing online courses. That's my second channel, is online courses. But a book is really what will solidify your credibility. That's what people will say, oh, that's an expert, that's an authority in that industry because she has a book. Okay. And then third is speaking. That's the third main channel you want to diversify into: speaking at conferences, speaking at different events, speaking at summits. It could be offline or online speaking, but offline is really what they're talking about here. But online speaking is a nice kind of first step into speaking. So, but the thing about speaking is most conference hosts or event planners won't even consider you until you have a book. So it really should go in that order of blog, book, and speaking. Okay? Not that you can't ever speak until you get a book, but you won't get a larger speaking venue until you have a book. My notes, the book has some wonderful book writing tips or book publishing tips. So you'll see that in my notes, including the elements of a book proposal. You can self-publish, but even if you self-publish, it's good to write a book proposal so you can get more focused on what you're actually going to be writing about. One key point I'll bring forth about the writing a book is that too many people write a book that's kind of memoir style. Oh, these are my journeys. This is my journey, and people are interested in my journey. Well, people want to read a book to get something out of it, and so unless you're famous, your memoir, your journey is not going to be of much interest to people. But if they're going to learn something that they can apply in their life, if you focus on some kind of action behavior change, and you make that book focused on that behavior change, you'll typically get more people interested in your book. Okay. Okay. The book, my notes also has some good tips for your speaking career. So how to get booked as a speaker. Okay, and then some tips on how to reach out to influencers so that you can work with them to create content or show up on their blog, etc. Some tips in there. They're very obvious, readable, so I'll just share that with you. I'll spend the last few minutes of this webinar talking about monetization, because I know that that's what a lot of people here are interested in, monetization. So monetization is, now that you have built an audience, and of course later on in the book he kind of contradicts himself and says, no, you should monetize since the very beginning. Even though in the beginning he says, no, don't monetize until later. Now he says, no, monetize since the beginning. Basically, let me give you a quick rundown of ways to monetize now that once you have some semblance of an audience. Okay, one is usually the easiest ways to get going. Now that you've built an audience of people who trust you for your expertise, it's very natural to say, if you would like to go deeper, if you would like customized support, if you would like me to handhold you through the transformation that I've been talking about, I'm available for that. And you can hire me as a coach or as a consultant. What's the difference? A coach, and okay, this is my definition. A coach is someone who tells you what to do, but doesn't do it for you. Consultant is someone who is with you as you do it, or maybe they do it for you. Okay, so that's the difference. So therefore, a consultant spends a lot more time with you than a coach. So a consultant typically sells like a package, maybe a couple $1,000s a month to like really implement things for you in your business or in your life, handhold you through a lot of it. And a coach typically charges a couple $100 a month to just meet once a week or once every 2 weeks to give you their insights into, okay, this is what you really should be doing next. Okay, second way to monetize is premium content. So this is selling a webinar, selling an online course, selling an ebook, okay, or selling some kind of downloadable template. These are all premium content. Third type is subscriptions. Subscriptions, some people call it membership websites, are where someone pays you on a monthly basis in order to get your premium content, like new premium content every month. Maybe they get additional benefits like, oh, a Q&A call, a group Q&A call that's just for the members, or, oh, a guest speaker that's just for the members. Fourth is events. So you could charge for offline events or online events. Fifth is traditional advertising and sponsorships. So a lot of people don't realize this. Like when you build a bigger audience, okay, when you build enough of an audience, it doesn't have to be big, but it has to be big enough that a larger company would take notice to say, oh, you've got 20,000 email subscribers? Oh, okay. We would like to sponsor one of your email newsletters. You know, and maybe eventually you do have a daily email newsletter. If you have a daily email newsletter, imagine you can have a different sponsor for each daily newsletter. Okay, so that's an idea for advertising and sponsorships. Oh, another way is if you have a good sized blog following, you can approach a bigger company to say, hey, your company's products and services would be of interest to my audience. So why don't we co-create a blog post together that would be something useful to my audience? So not a sales post, not like, hey, this is why you should buy this, but it's more like, this is something that this company has some expertise in, and I have some expertise in. We're going to write a blog post, and of course, this blog post is sponsored by this company, and you all ought to check out the products of this company. So companies will pay you for that too. And the great thing is if you co-create content with a bigger company, chances are they will share that content on their platform too, and you just have gotten some more audience members, right? Okay, so actually that would be number 6. Native advertising is really not buy the thing, but and not just this newsletter was sponsored by this, but native advertising is when it's like product placement. So you're writing a blog post and you mention a company because they've paid you for that. So that's native advertising. Or, and again, co-creating a blog post together. That's not particularly for sales. There are a whole list of revenue ideas in my notes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different businesses. For example, the Content Marketing Institute, which is the business of the author of this book, they have 11 revenue sources. Event attendees, event sponsors, online trainings, sponsorships of online webinars, book purchases, podcast sponsorships. They have all these different revenue sources. So I'll let you look through that. Okay, and one final word is about goals. Okay, just 2 minutes on this. I like that the book recommends we write down our content marketing goals. To say, I would like to build an email subscriber list of this many, like being specific about the number so that you don't run away from it, but that you're honest with yourself. Like, this is what I would like to build an email subscriber base of this many subscribers. It's really, really helpful, because when you write down a specific number, magic starts to happen. Actually, no, important. When you write down a specific number and when you review it regularly, every time you work on your content marketing, review that number, magic starts to happen. Your subconscious, unconscious mind will be working a lot to give you brilliant ideas and courage and strength. And what will seem to you to be luck will create, and like, oh, how can, I can approach this person. Like, you wouldn't have thought of that until you're specific about your numbers. So just write down at least one number for your content marketing goal. And I'll add to so I'll just say, okay, write down your goals, your at least one content marketing goal. Secondly, write down specific steps or your strategy for getting there. Don't just say, I want 1,500 email subscribers. Okay, what's your overall strategy to get there? Okay, to do that, I'm going to create a daily blog post or a weekly blog post. And at the end of each blog post, I'll encourage people to subscribe if they want my best content on a weekly basis. So to have some kind of strategy where you can see yourself like, okay, if I do this, I'll eventually get there. So in other words, what I call your process goals. Okay, your milestone goal, write it down, your number, your process goals, what are you going to do to get there? Third is review those things. Review your number and your process goal regularly, at least once a week. It's a very minimum, okay? 4 is be open to editing your goals. Just because you review them doesn't mean they never change. It means that you're open to editing them as you go. So with that, I'm going to let you go. I hope this has been useful for you. I would really value if you could write like a sentence for why this video is worth watching, especially for those who are attending live, so that I can say, hey, watch this video because these people said this about this video. Of course, I will put the link to my 21 pages of notes underneath the video as well, or wherever I share the video, I'll include that. And I wish you authentic success in reaching your content marketing goals, but also your business goals. And remember that the internet has enough for everyone's needs, but not for everyone's greed. So make a realistic and sustainable goals for yourself, and just pursue those goals with diligence and with consistency and with willingness to experiment, and you will reach your goals. So I wish you the very best, and until the next webinar, until the next video, be well.